Hey everybody, here are some stories that go from hell yeah to hell no so quickly they cause sonic booms. What kink did you think you had until trying it? Story 1. I was once doing this girl in the middle of the woods, but where I live we have these things called timber rattlesnakes. They are, in my opinion, way worse than a regular diamondback rattlesnake. We had a blanket laid out and we were going at it, and then all of a sudden, I can feel something going over my leg because I kneeled down. So I stopped and looked, and there's this timber rattlesnake going over my leg, and I immediately freeze, hoping that the snake will just keep on going and won't really notice me. But the snake all of a sudden jerks his head around to look at me, and then he starts shaking his tail. Well, the girl goes to turn her head around, and I tell her through clenched teeth to not move. And I don't know exactly how long I stayed there staring this snake down, but eventually he decided that we weren't a threat and just kept on moving. Now, if I'm going to smash with someone in the woods, I bring a 410 pistol. I may not have said that right. I'm not much on weaponry. I don't know what a 410 or a 410 pistol is. But I was reading this story thinking that this was going to be him confessing some sort of kink towards snakes. And I guess it was just about the woods. I don't know if anyone has had that much of a kink towards wild snakes. Snakes, yeah, they've been represented in the Bible and all that. I get that. But out in the wild, nope. Story 2. Choking is kind of a misnomer, to be honest. The goal isn't to put pressure on the front of the neck and restrict airflow. Doing it like that is painful, unpleasant, and much more dangerous. Instead, it's to squeeze the sides of the neck where the major arteries are and reduce blood flow to the brain. Still dangerous if done for too long, but at least it doesn't really hurt. And the pressure shouldn't be very high. All the strength you should need is in your wrists. Also, please don't do it to anybody else unless you've done it to yourself with your hands, not a belt. And do a lot of research before you try it in general. You're depriving the brain of blood it needs to live, literally flirting with unaliving. Your cells can go for a few minutes without blood before they start to shut down and perish. Oxygen deprivation is one of the most dangerous kinds of kinks, and one that you should engage in cautiously. I know. Everybody's looking at me thinking, is he going to try and do that on camera to his neck? Nope. Not my circus, not my clowns. Nope. Story 3. Finding a situation hot in your fantasies doesn't mean you actually want that event to happen in real life. People rarely fully grasp how a slap from someone you love can hurt emotionally and physically, even when the partner actively wants the slap. Some people even have their own subspace or headspace they need to be in to ever enjoy that kind of play at all. There's a reason aftercare is such a big priority in the kink community, because it can cause people who love those kinks to become very emotional and fragile afterwards when they come down from such strong feelings. It's always a good idea to have a safe word, even for vanilla intimacy, and a thorough conversation about potential kinks and boundaries beforehand, because you'll never truly know how you or your partner might feel when trying something new, or even something old. I keep saying this. I've said it in videos before. It is all about communication. It just so happens that one of the few scenes that is correct in 50 Shades of Grey in the movie is going over all the different aspects of what should and should not happen. Maybe you're not going to write it out as a contract, but that kind of discussion really needs to happen before anyone engages in anything, even if something might involve surprise. There's just no question. Story 4. I have lots of kinks, ranging from light bondage to tickling to heavy gore, beheading, crucifixion, amputation, wound penetration, zoophilia, and cannibalism. While many of those I won't try in real life for, obvious reasons, I haven't found a kink I thought I'd enjoy, but then didn't. It's interesting that people have that. Though while I could defo chomp on a person and love the taste of human blood, I despise animal meat. It doesn't feel right. Texturally, it's all off, and I don't know if that's the processed nature of it or how they're raised, but yeah. People in the comments are so vanilla, it's actually painful. So many good experiences and so many dumb reasons not to let yourself enjoy them. Story 5. I don't have any spicy ideas about being covered in candle wax, even though I joke about it sometimes. Actually use them due to electricity access issues. But it kinda doesn't bother me when it happens. It's unpleasant, but doesn't really hurt. But I only got it on my hands and all over my place. But it's a story for another day. Perhaps the real problem is wax sticking to body hair, or their candles just burn hotter. It's exactly why I don't use vegetable oil, which is more accessible. I'm okay with hot wax on my hands, but not with burning oil, and I'm not careful enough to avoid either. Story 6. 2 answers. Girlfriend. Found out multiple things she thought she liked but doesn't. Being choked, being physically lifted, being roughly pinned down. Basically, she thought she was the basic kinky, but the only thing she likes so far is spanking, name-calling, and being a brat. Me. I found out that I don't like choking. I felt aggressive and like I was hurting her, even when she assured me that I wasn't. But again, she didn't enjoy it either, so we agreed to keep it out of our bedroom hijinks for now to be revisited later. I read that story and I just keep thinking of that line from the Meatloaf song, "I'll do anything for love, but I won't do that." Ugh. Story 7. Consent is important. Never test something out on someone out of the blue. Always talk about it. And both have to agree to it. A few kink tips. Use paraffin candles. Their melting point is low, which means low burn risk, and make for easier cleanup. And please, learn how to choke/tie properly so you don't give someone nerve damage. You can have rough play that doesn't end up harming someone. Story 8. The amount of people in that thread who thought they had foot fetishes only for it to turn out that they didn't is scaring me. I hope my brain ain't lying to me about this, or I'm going to be very disappointed. Also, yes, I have a foot fetish. Can't wait for every troll, hater, and weirdo on the internet to go, "You have a foot fetish?" in the comments. Story 9. One about mine. Having a guy finish on my face. Had fantasies about it for years. Asked my boyfriend to do it to me. Horrible idea. Muck everywhere. In my head, in the crevices of my face. I found dried muck in my face and on my hair for days. Smelled like old muck for longer. And the worst part? When he finished, I cried. 4.5 out of 10. Would not recommend. So not only did it smell, it got everywhere that she couldn't get to, and she cried. It was very bad, but she still gave it 4.5 out of 10. What is she giving points for? I want there to be a follow-up here. Story 10. Poor dude. What was he expecting? As a male, if your female downloads dating apps, she's going to automatically see how bad of a catch you are in physical aspect. Even if you're a great dude, she'll start fantasizing about how these hot guys would also be good and look much better than you. Compatibility being an issue. What a cope, dude. She just went for hotter guys. No compatibility issue. Story 11. Being rough. I thought it would be a lot hotter, but half of the time, I don't see it coming and flinch a ton. After a while, I'm just constantly braced for pain and spend all the time looking at my partner's hands, because I know they're going to pinch, slap, or yank me around. You can't relax. If I reciprocate it, we're just wrestling the whole time. Story 12. For everyone wondering about pegging or milking, being able to find the prostate is the second most important part. The actual most important part is active communication. If they're not finishing, either you might not be hitting the right spot, or they could be not into it but just going along. Final note, be sure you know how to clean yourself out before doing any butt play. And then we recycle the old joke about how bad the human design is when an amusement park is right next to a sewage plant. Story 13. I felt the daddy one so hard. It's just not me, and I don't get why guys get off to it. The way I see it, my future daughter could never call me dad or daddy because it's either I associated that with something intimate or I get turned off by my partner saying it to me. Lose-lose situation. Story 14. I have like 3 fetishes, I guess. Tickling and bare feet are a definite yes. I have them and they're hot AF, but I'm not sure about bondage. I'm not sure if I'm into it or not. My ex was into bondage. I may or may not like it when that happens to me in real life.
Please like and subscribe if you made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day.
Story 15. I used to think I was really into degrading, so one time me and my then girlfriend decided to try it. One insult, and I was limp. We proceeded to laugh our butts off about it for like 20 minutes, and then we decided to maybe not do that again. I wonder how many of these people that are getting these ideas for their kinks are coming from watching corn or just spicier R-rated movies or something like that. Is that the ideal that they're thinking of and thinking they're into it? And if it turns out that it's not true, maybe it's because they're attracted to the people that are in the video and not so much the act that they're performing itself. It's kind of an interesting thing to explore and kind of look into yourself to figure out. Story 16. For those thinking about choking, you must know that the idea is just grab the neck or just pressure the sides of it in order to not cut off the airflow completely. Doing that won't be hot unless you're literally a sadomasochist. Story 17. Bondage combined with tickling. The one tickled struggles and easily gets hurt, and if you restrain good enough, it's just torture. As it turns out, simply going with tickling, which shifts into faux wrestling and then to good snuggle, is simply a superior option. Story 18. We did some role play and my girlfriend wanted me to pretend that I arrived 5 minutes too late for work. To me, a German, that thought was unbearable, and I arrived even 5 minutes earlier to do some extra work. Nice try, Fräulein, but not on my watch. Yeah, an attempt at an accent was made. The closest I get to anything German on a regular basis is listening to Kraftwerk. Story 19. My wife told me that I could tie her up and do anything I wanted to. So I did. And she got so mad with me and has not talked to me for 2 years almost. All I did was tie her up and go fishing with my friends. Story 20. Tip for candle wax. Normal candles are still way too hot when the wax touches the skin, causing actual burns. Bondage candles have a lower melting point, making the wax still hot for a second, but not leaving long-term burns. Story 21. There are some kinks that I like to fantasize about, but would hate actually doing them. And there are others that I don't ever really think about, but might be open to trying in real-life scenarios. Fantasy is not reality, and this goes for the bedroom, too. Story 22. I don't know why, but the idea of being sliced open with a knife, like cutting my skin so that everything is full of blood, pleasuring my partner, kind of makes me happy. I know, by God, I should never do this, but it's weird in the first place. Story 23. The problem here could easily be avoided by good communication, safety procedures, and basic hygiene, which is everything you need for even normal intimacy. These peeps got irked out of their kink. Story 24. No offense, man, but you censoring swears in this video is like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Also, I think the words kinky and poop should never be in the same sentence, let alone back to back. I hear you. I understand. I would actually love to go full force with the full brunt of all the wording in these stories. I really would. But we have to deal with an algorithm that does not and wants to think of the hypothetical kids. I don't know another way around it. I don't know if we'll come across a solution as of yet. Once we do, we'll probably let you know. Story 25. One of my exes used to call me daddy. Was never a huge fan of it. To me, the term daddy ties into the dom role, and I'm a switch, more sub. So I prefer to be called a good boy. Story 26. The daddy-mommy one is such a mood. Sounds hot in theory, but actually just makes me cringe so hard. Like the time I tried. It sometimes comes up as an intrusive thought. Bleh. Story 27. It saddens me that some people experiment with their kink for the first time, but with the wrong person, or because you are afraid to say the safe word. Story 28. My sister thought she had a kink for humans, but was more into dogs. As for me, it was feminization. I didn't really like it, but it made the wife happy. Story 29. Imagine being so unhygienic that a girl is capable of thinking she's not into pegging just with a long-range whiff at your butt. Guy's lucky not to have any infections. Story 30. I'd say 2 females at once. Unless you have the libido of a god, it's going to be pretty underwhelming. And if you're a people pleaser, you'll be stressed. Story 31. Man, a lot of people are turned off by DDLG. Bummer. Praise kinks are greater than degrading kinks. Or a good mixture of both is where it's at. I hear the words good girl and it's game over. Story 32. Is it weird I don't have a foot fetish because I have ugly feet? I won't judge and will go along with it if a girl wants it, but it's not in my top 10. Story 33. I came here hoping to find new things to try. Instead, it's a bunch of stuff I've already tried, with the addition of being the other guy. Story 34. This is a way different video than I thought. I thought it was what did you think you have until trying it. Curse my dyslexia. Story 35. Honestly, I'm on the same boat as the lady who said she doesn't like being called mommy. My boyfriend's into it and I'm not. Story 36. It's interesting that daddy little girl kinks are actually tame compared to those threads. Story 37. Glad I'm not the only one who dislikes some of these kinks. Especially the daddy kink. Story 38. Memories broken. The truth goes unspoken. I've even forgotten my name. Story 39. Necrophilia. Just made my grandmother's funeral super awkward. Story 40. CNC play. Idea is fun, but in reality it's just terrifying. Don't recommend. Story 41. Unalive animals. They're really hard to hold up. It ruins the mood. Story 42. Impregnation kink. The child support really ruined that for me. Story 43. If you're into girls' feet, to cure that, just look at a ballerina's feet. Story 44. Getting stabbed.
Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.